In all of my lifetime, I have never owned a car. So one of the best ways to get around is first your feet, and next is the bus. So I've been riding Torrance buses since 1955. I always say that if a bus takes you someplace, there will be another bus that will bring you back from there.
When I got back from the war, the South Pacific, I had no car. You couldn't buy a car because it hadn't made any cars for 4 or 5 years. They were building tanks and airplanes.
The buses were just paramount to the importance of the hospital and the community. Ambulance services, and I'm really delighted to see how sophisticated the city of Torrance has done with this new transit system.
Their stories are diverse, but share a common thread. Over the last 75 years, Torrance Transit got them where they needed to go, when they needed to get there.
It's really hard for seniors to get around, and I think if they know that transportation is available and it isn't difficult to get around using the transit system, it makes them able to seek other interests in their lives.
For some of our seniors, it's the only way they can get to a hospital. You know, that's the only way they can get to a doctor visit. For students, it's maybe the only way they can get to school. So we know that we make a difference, and they're grateful, and we're appreciative that they allow us to serve them, because it's a real honor for us.
Today, at 75, with its bright green, blue, and gold hybrid fleet, Torrance Transit isn't showing its age. But to understand and appreciate its success requires a look back at its storied past. In 1938, the nation was on the cusp of World War II. In Torrance, one of the primary sources of transportation was the red car, owned and operated by the Pacific Electric Railway. It carried workers employed by the city's thriving oil industry in and out of town. But that year, the PE Railway filed an application with the California Railway Commission to abandon its critical Torrance to San Pedro line. Despite the city's protest, the application was granted, allowing PE Railway to stop service within 1 year. After a few years of uncertainty, the city's application to operate its own municipal bus line was approved in January 1940.
Once the red car disbanded and the manufacturer company closed, Torrance Transit was there to take over the service, providing service from downtown Torrance to downtown Los Angeles.
For decades, the buses ran on diesel fuel and required quite a bit of muscle to operate, as Melanie Hearns recalls from the early 1980s.
The buses had no AC and no power steering, so it was a lot of work involved. Now, all the buses have AC, power steering, announcement system. Back then, you had to do everything on your own, so we have come a long ways.
In the early 1990s, passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, mandated that all diesel buses provide wheelchair access. This brought a more modernized fleet of red and white diesel buses. Former fleet supervisor John Hall and his team of mechanics made it their business to keep up with a growing fleet and its evolving technology.
Computers that run the head signs, there's computers that run the engine, computers that run the transmission. All the mechanics have to evolve into this because it's no longer a shade tree job. You need some education to work on equipment today.
Cleaner burning compressed natural gas, known as CNG, is what runs the newest buses that began to roll out in 2010. That's when Torrance Transit also rolled out its new look, green, blue, and gold.
We're changing how we do business, we're changing how we look, we're changing the vehicles we drive. With that, it's exciting just to be here because there's lots to do. Every day there's a new challenge, there's something new, there's something that we look forward to.
The look will continue with new street furniture, including bus shelters, benches, and trash receptacles. It's all part of an effort to get people excited about riding Torrance Transit.
We wanted to make it so your first impression was a wow impression, that you really thought this is really something I want to get on and I want to try.
Transit employees, from mechanics to dispatchers to bus operators, take their responsibility to their riders seriously.
There's a lot of responsibility, and that's part of our job, is to help folks get to point A to point B safely and as quickly as possible.
My mechanics go through rigorous troubleshooting and diagnostics of a problem. They could take them all night, but seeing that bus in the morning full of people and making sure that they can get to work and get to school is probably the most rewarding.
Riding Torrance Transit will soon be even more comfortable and convenient when the new transit center is complete. It's slated for construction on the corner of Crenshaw Boulevard and Maricopa Street. It will include a park and ride and one day serve as a stop on the Metro Green Line. Another recent development is the addition of a time-saving CNG fueling station at the Torrance City Yard.
We've got, pretty much a modern facility compared to some of the agencies. They still work on the ground, they work on creepers. We don't. We can lift the bus up in the air. So it's really nice working here. Now we've got it, actually, we've got it made. We've come a long way. Yeah, definitely.
Whether you're a rider or an employee, all agree it's a good time to be part of Torrance Transit.
The first year they carried about 10,000 people. Last year we had over 4 million boardings. So the transition has been great.
We operate in a team environment. Like, there's no one person that runs this agency. We cannot operate without each other. We have some of the best drivers that I would pair up with any other agency. And we try to strive that, without them, that we can't operate smoothly.
I'm very proud to be a part of this special time. It's a momentous occasion for the transit agency. We are celebrating history.